Thank you for your time, Mr. Oyekanmi.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
Good evening. I remember when we had a conversation on this program just a few days back, you did say that this process of recall will be transparent and pretty much accountable. And of course, the update we are getting right now is that this petition has been rejected by INEC. Can you please take us through what exactly in detail happened?
Thank you very much. The recall process is enshrined in the Constitution of the country, the 1999 Constitution. And INEC, the institution that the Constitution gave the power to take up the recall process of whenever we receive the petition from the constituents of a constituency. And Section 69 of the 1999 Constitution gave us that mandate. And in exercising that mandate, we put together a body of rules and regulations. And the process is that when the constituents or registered voters in a constituency want to recall their representative, if they no longer have confidence in that representative, what the law says is that they should write a petition addressed to the INEC Chairman and then collect signatures of more than 1/2 of the total number of registered voters in that constituency. So we received a petition from the constituents of the Kogi Central senatorial districts, and their representative wrote a letter, a cover letter, and they brought some sacks and claimed that those sacks contain signatures of more than 1/2 of the total number of registered voters in that constituency. So fine, we got these materials and the letter, and the first thing we do is we notified the member sought to be recalled, and then we copied the presiding officer of the Legislative House, and then we proceeded to ascertain, because that's what our regulation says, to ascertain exactly the number of signatures to determine whether it meets the threshold. In the course of doing that, we discovered that the total number of signatures that we counted physically did not meet the threshold. And because it didn't meet the threshold, we could not go to the next stage. So that's where we are.
Okay, you said the total number of signatures you counted did not meet the threshold. What figure are we looking at? How many signatures did you count?
Well, in our press statement, we said we could ascertain 208,132, right? Now, the total number of registered voters there is 474,554. So 50% plus 1 of that is 237,278 voters. But we got signatures of 208,132. So that means they are short of 29,146 signatories. And what the law says is that if we cannot ascertain, then we issue a public notice and the process stops right there.
So, but if they are able, what if they are able to make that difference? Will that recall still continue?
Well, we have to look at the law. What does the law say? The law talks about the process for submitting a petition and what is required. But that law did not say that you can do it 1, 2, 3 times. There is no limit and there's no restriction. So if, for instance, they put together the signatures and they come back to INEC, I don't see any reason why we will not look into it.
But so far, have you been able to discover, fake or falsified identities in the course of your verification?
Now, like I said, our regulations and guidelines have various stages. There is a stage called verification. If, for instance, we had ascertained that the total number of signatures met the threshold of 50 plus 1, the next thing will have been verification. And that verification entails INEC deploying resources to all the 902 polling units in Kogi Central Senatorial District. Like I said, there are over 474,000 registered voters. Now, when we get to verification stage, we will give notice and deploy our resources, take our beavers there, appoint verification officers, and then require those who signed that petition to come and verify. So that is a point where we will discover whether there are fake people or whether there are real people. Because if they forge signatures, of course, ghosts cannot come out to verify. So all of them will have been discovered at that level.
All right. Let me leave you for a moment, Mr. Rotimi, and let me, of course, bring into the conversation Isaiah Davies-Ijele, is the press secretary for the Social Democratic Party, Kogi State. Thank you for your time on the program. It's great to have you, sir.
Good evening, my brother.
All right. Let me start with your reaction so far as regards where we are or where Nigerians are when it comes to, this case between Natasha Akpoti and the Senate President, that's Godswill Akpabio. For now, INEC, of course, has halted the recall process due to them not meeting the requirement according to law. And there's also, of course, the issue of a court injunction as regards, the parties, direct parties involved speaking about it. But what's your take generally so far on this case?
Okay, thank you very much for having me once again. You see, the problem we have as a party, as the opposition in the state is very simple. It is easier for INEC spokesperson to come and speak nicely, explain the rule of law, explain all the procedures and all the steps that are needed to be taken according to our guidance, according to the 2023 Electoral Bill as amended, 2022 Electoral Bill as amended, and INEC guidelines. But my issue is, we will hear them. They will come out and be saying one thing today, tomorrow another thing. We were a victim of this type of situation during the 2023 gubernatorial election. There were a report of about 5 local governments that the result sheet were filled before even the commencement of vote early in the morning. And there were protests everywhere. And I came up and said, no, we are going to cancel the local government that were affected. We are going to bring to book all the perpetrators and all this. At the end of the day, my brother, nothing. The following day, while that is going on, the professors were inside the collation center calling the result. Now, as he's talking, you'll be surprised that he'll be speaking according to the rule of law. Tomorrow you wake up, those in charge of the execution will be doing a different thing. That is the problem. It is not that we don't have good laws in Nigeria. Trust me, anytime I speak, I always talk about laws and order. I was the one that led protests to INEC in the front of INEC for almost 3 times, demanding for accreditation, demanding for beavers, demanding for the rule of law. We all came as young men into the political space because of the hope and because of the assurance that were given to us, just like he said. I remember Professor Mahmoud in Chatham House told Nigerians and told the whole world that only by beavers that we will have election. That one man, one vote, only through accreditation. But at the end of the day, trust me, that is why we issued a statement this morning that yes, INEC have done the right thing at this stage, but we don't trust them. We don't trust what next. You can wake up tomorrow and they'll tell you that the signature they have been completed. Let's proceed to the next stage. And before you know it, the people see, listen to it. I don't know if you have gone through the report of Honorable former Minister Chidoka, his group report on the conduct of the election of Edo, Kogi, Bayelsa, those off-cycle elections. You will discover a lot of innuendos in those elections. You will discover a lot of fraudulent acts perpetrated by INEC officials. We are not talking of the spokesperson. We are not even talking about the people in Abuja now. We are talking about the staff that always conduct fraudulent elections.
All right.
And there is no consequences for their action. There is no consequence. Punishment, and that is why they keep doing it. He is saying the truth, he is saying what is the fact, but are they going to abide by the same rule and regulation on the field?
Maybe we should give Mr. Rotimi, Oyekanmi, the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman, the right to respond on some of the things that you've said. I believe that many of those challenges is what you experienced in Kogi State in the last election. Am I correct, Mr. Isaiah Davis? All right, so maybe Mr. Rotimi might just want to, clear the air, if at all, on the modus operandi of INEC when it comes to issues like this.
Well, I thought we were discussing about the recall.
Yes, we are. But I want to proceed to my next question. But I just felt he touched on some issues that maybe you might just want to, clear the air on.
Honestly, I'm not sure I know exactly what the gentleman is trying to say. What exactly is he pointing at? Because he talked about several things, and I can't really fathom exactly what he's trying to say. Is he saying that we didn't conduct the recall well, or is he saying that we didn't conduct the Kogi State governorship election well, or is he saying that he's not satisfied with the outcome of the? I really don't, because he jumped into several things.
Several things.
So okay, we want to clarify.
Mr. Rotimi, maybe we should just leave that if you, of course, might not want to speak. He was just basically talking about the rule of law, which INEC, has and claims to follow. But many a times, what he was trying to say is that what happens in reality doesn't necessarily reflect some of those things being established. But maybe I should move to my next question.
I can weigh in on that.
Okay.
INEC is not a political party. There is nothing that INEC embarks on, or there is nothing that we do that is not supported by the extant laws. We are guided always by the body of laws. The 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Electoral Act 2022, and our regulations and guidelines, right? And every action that we take, we have enough laws to cover us. Now, we conduct elections. We have rules and regulations on how we conduct elections. We meet with political parties. We tell political parties what we want to do. We meet with stakeholders to tell them what we want to do. When we get to the field, we do exactly what we want to do. Now, if there are infractions and those infractions are reported to us, we take action. And let me say something. No election is perfect, but there's something called substantial compliance with the rules and regulations, which we do at all times. Okay, if you are talking about infractions, there are ways to go about infraction, but you cannot say because there are problems in a few areas, therefore the election is bad or the election has not been conducted properly. That's not the way it is.
All right, let's come back to the issue at hand. Now, looking at the recall process, there was a certain report I saw that this process is pretty much expensive. How true is that when it comes to recall compared to maybe when a normal election is being conducted?
Well, if we stretch the recall process from the beginning to the very end, it is like conducting 3 elections. And I will explain. Now, if we are able, for instance, to substantiate the number of signatures, the next thing we do is to go for verification. Now, verification is just like conducting election. You know why? Because we are going to deploy verification officers. We are going to deploy beavers to all the polling units in the constituency concerned. And of course, after the process, we open the polling units 8:30, we close at 2:30, or extend it to as long as people are still on the queue who were able to arrive there before the closing period. And then we declare the verification result at each stage, at each level. For instance, at the polling unit level, we go to the ward level. After that, we collate, we declare the result at the ward level. From there, we go to the local government level, we declare there, and then to the constituency level, where in the case of a senatorial district, we do the final announcement of the result. Now, if after verification, we are able to verify more than one half of the total number of registered voters in that constituency, we now have to go for referendum. Now, in referendum, that is another election altogether, because that referendum is now open to all the registered voters in that constituency. Now, there's a little difference between verification and referendum. In verification, only those who sign the petitions are required to come out with their permanent voters card, and they will have to be accredited with our beavers and ticked verified if everyone is able to do that. Now, if that is successfully done and they are successfully verified, we now go to referendum. Referendum this time is open to, like I said, all the registered voters in that constituency. Now, if we get more yes votes than no votes, then of course the member will be recalled. That stands recalled. That means the recall is successful. Now, that is not the end of the matter. We will now have to inform the presiding officer of the Legislative House that we have done what the Constitution asks us to do, and this is the result. The presiding officer will have to declare a vacancy for that seat of the member that was recalled, and we now have to go back and conduct a by-election. So you have the verification, which is like an election. You have a referendum if verification is successful, which is another election. Then if the referendum is successful, then you have the final by-election. So it's quite an expensive activity.
All right. Let me leave you for a moment, Mr. Oyekanmi, and let me come back to you, Isaiah Davies-Ijele. I mean, the homecoming of Senator Natasha Akpoti, we saw a situation whereby the government of the state actually did place a ban on, public gatherings and, activities, so to speak. In spite of that, it's still held. I mean, you are an opposition in the state. How do you react to the action by the government on that day?
You see, my brother, what we are witnessing in Kogi State is very unfortunate. And oftentimes, I used to say that I don't know if that state is still part of Nigeria. I don't know if maybe they have abandoned us to just let things be the way it anyhow they want it. The innuendos, the kind of things that government of Kogi State does all the time to his people is very appalling. But now the issue of Natasha coming home, these are norms. She does this all the time. Christmas, Easter, Salah, etc. And she coming the same time that is the celebration to meet with her people, her constituency. All of a sudden, every road that leads to Kogi State, to our local government, blocked. In fact, people were set on different errands for roadblock just because somebody said, I'm coming home. If the government of Kogi State are not afraid of such charisma, of her confidence, of her ambience, of her supporters, why will you declare a coffee and a ban on rallies during a festive period? During Salah celebration, you are putting a coffee on it. Or some of the local government, there have never been a report of any kind of all those fish pond issues they are talking about have been there for how many months? They have not declared a state of emergency. They have not even declared a state of emergency in the local government that those fracas took place. Why the whole state? Why Ihima? Why all the peaceful places? And trust me, the lady was very brave to go there with helicopter. What would have happened on the road if she had insisted to go to her place by road? Trust me, it will be war. Trust me, life will go down that way. We don't need this as a country. See, opposition is the bedrock of democracy. If we are not holding the government of the day accountable by their actions and inaction, then we don't have a government. Then we have autocracy. Then we have a military regime, not civilian, not a democracy. The beauty of democracy is you say your mind, I say my mind, I criticize you, you criticize me, we fight today, we are friends tomorrow. in this party today, we're in another party today. Tomorrow, we agree with you today. Tomorrow, we disagree to agree. That is what I know. It is the bedrock of democracy. That is how it's supposed to be. But now, God shamed them. The puppet and the puppeteer in the same were put to shame. I used to say it. I don't see Ododo as in charge of the state. I see Bello is the voice of Ododo, but the handwork and the actions are all the actions of Bello. This Bello did in his 8 years. Do you forget that during the campaign of the gubernatorial election, we were also, such bans everywhere. It restricted our movement in some areas.
Isaiah Davis.
And trust me, the INEC spokesperson, I want to assure you, I appreciate the step you guys have taken, but like I said earlier, you people will come out to tell us such a beautiful arrangement. I love your presentation. You go by the rule of law. But what is happening? I want to ask you, sir. Why are things going?
Mr. Isaiah Davies-Ijele, I mean, we of course are trying to stick to the topic of today because of time. I know that there are issues, but maybe that would, of course, set another day aside where we'll talk about lingering issues as regards, the electoral process in the country, and we'll definitely have Mr. Rotimi Oyekanmi on that one. But just before I let you go, Mr. Rotimi Oyekanmi, just your final thoughts on this case as regards the recall.
Well, we don't have any opinion on the recall, my dear brother. We are INEC. We are not a political party, and we don't instigate people to embark on petitions or gather signatures. What we are after is the rule of law, the process, what the Constitution asks us to do. And it's what the recall that we just dealt with is not the first recall that the Commission has handled. We have handled several recall processes in the past, and we didn't give these recall processes any special treatment. We attended to it the way we would have attended to any other recall process that we are called upon to handle when the matter arises. So my assurance is that anytime constituents of any constituency in this country feel that they need to recall their representative and they do the needful, INEC will take the action that the Constitution asks us to take.
All right. I remember the last time we had this conversation, I asked you this question. Any pressure from, any political pressure from any quarter on this issue? I'm asking again.
Not any that I'm aware of. And the good thing is that we are protected by the Constitution. The rules are very clear. What the Constitution wants INEC to do is written there black and white. If you go to section 69 of the 1999 Constitution, you'll see it. We are not going to act outside that. So there is no pressure. We did what we had to do.
All right. Thank you so much. In 30 seconds, Isaiah Davies-Ijele, your final thoughts.
Okay. I want to appreciate so far like I said, what INEC have done. Yes, we appreciate them by staying to the rule of law. But whatever is going to happen next, we don't know because they used to surprise us. And that is why under the comment section of everything INEC posts, go and read those comments. Nigerians are tired. If INEC will stay to the rules to the end, trust me, it is easier for 20 camels and 20 cows to pass through the eyes of a needle than recalling Natasha. Senator Natasha cannot be recalled. A pajamas lady cannot gather some signature to recall a lady with a cutter, inside a cutter. I used to say it's very clear. This woman has empowered a lot of people and she's still doing it in her constituency. The best senator from Kogi State, the best senator that is standing. We are privileged to produce her to Nigeria people as a state. And the Kogi Central is privileged to have her in that constituency.
Well, Mr. Isaiah Davies-Ijele, thank you so much. I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, you're an SDP press secretary, to hear you speak, so gleefully about someone who belongs to the People's Democratic Party. For those watching, they would, be surprised, just like maybe I am. But maybe that's the beauty of opposition, is it?
An injury to one is an injury to all because they They did this, the same to Natasha. We were faced with the same thing. I was almost assassinated. You remember you interviewed me, I think after the incident, right?
Yeah.
Before the election, before the gubernatorial, they always turn election to war zone. Now just a record, other drama. That state is too small for those drama, bro.
All
we
right.
have other supposed to take care. They go, as I speak to you, there is no light in Kogi East. The whole senatorial zone is in total darkness.
All right, Isaiah Davis, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. I know you have a lot to say. I know. Thank you so much.
Not all the time, not victimizing and go after opposition. That is our problem. Going after opposition is our problem. We don't have problem with anybody, but we want a swift democracy where everybody is free to practice freedom of association.
All right, Isaiah Davis, thank you so much. The press secretary of... Big thank you to the Mr. Rotimi Oyekanmi, the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen.